Changing Times Media, exploring new ideas that have the power to change the world.
Yeah, another thing you write about in the book that I think is so brilliant is, how with Generation X, their parenting styles are often a reaction to the way they were raised by their baby boomer parents. You write, quote, think of the women of our parents' generation did the equivalent of 100 Google searches trying to figure out if it is okay to have a glass of wine in the third trimester. Please, the cork was out of that bottle before you could say electric company. Isn't that hysterical? And I always say I was raised by a pacifier and a swing, and I was. And my mother's passed away, but my dad will admit to that he didn't really know what they were doing, and they were overwhelmed with my brother, and and my mom had health problems, and I was like, just put her in the swing, but give her a pacifier for hours and hours. And I thought, I'm not raising my kid that way. And she turns out to have these issues that I couldn't, even if I wanted to raise her that way. But yeah, it's definitely changed, and I do think now we're a little more the whole helicopter parenting situation.
Yeah, and I think it comes from a really good place. I think it comes from this reaction against this hands-off parenting, and it do create this kind of culture of latchkey kids. And I think a lot of us, growing up in Generation X, we're lonely, and so we don't want our kids to go through any of that. And it's this overcompensation where we're like, they can never be bored, they can never be lonely, they can never have any of this. And then you wind up with this, this constant overcompensation of trying to make sure that every single moment, they're connected to a person. And the truth is that, like everything, you need a happy medium for your own sanity and for their sanity.
Yeah, and for your relationship too, with your husband or your partner, whoever, otherwise, because what I did with my daughters, my husband's like, we need a date night. But I was always so overwhelmed by everything, we never did. And then there was resentment, and now things are a lot better, but you got to make that time for yourself. Did you find that, Freeman, that you can get so overwhelmed that...
Are you kidding me? Of course.
Forget about, your partner.
And I'll be very frank, because I think that one of the things we're talking about, and Ada, you're saying that there's an overcompensation for what I guess we didn't get or something like that. I definitely was in that category. And so for me, I had a sense of being scared that I was going to get it wrong. Especially when they were really little, when they were babies, because as they've gotten older, I've gotten more confident, especially with the second, I have a stepson, but then my two biological children, it was like, I never went through his early years. He was 10 when I met his mother. So with the younger ones, who my son is now 7, my daughter is 5, obviously with my first as an infant, I was so freaked out. I didn't want to get anything wrong, and we were definitely like you. We were reading every book, and we were making ourselves crazy. I think you've hit the nail on the head, Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
really can.
Yeah. No, everybody worries about that, and and wants to do right. And it's just a question of what is right,
Right.
Because it does change, like you said. The fashions change, and some things are really popular for a while. And breastfeeding used to be like this horrible thing. You're supposed to bottle feed them, and then that swings back. And then people just get more and more passionate about whatever choice they've made. And it can be very oppressive.
It is.
Oh my gosh, it can. I mean, I remember, and I shared this story during our other interview, I was at the store and my daughter cried a lot, and I had to go to the drugstore to pick something up, and there's this woman in line like, oh, you should give your baby a pacifier. And I said, well, she won't take a pacifier. She said, oh, yes, she will. All babies take pacifiers. And I said, lady, she won't take a pacifier. And I swear to God, I wanted to slug her. And I'm not, and Freeman, I'm a very sweet person. I was so irritated because I'm like, who is this person to say? And I said, I wish she would. Quite frankly, I wish I could do a little the swing and pacifier stuff. Oh my gosh. So you get these people who they just have this idea of all babies are blank. All babies do this. And then you read the books and then you beat yourself up. And especially if you have a child that doesn't match, especially with what to expect when you're expecting, that book, I just wanted to chuck it out the window. And I know everyone's going to kill me because that's like the Bible. But let me tell you should get Ada's book, Instinctive Parenting, because didn't that book kind of make you feel, Ada, like if it didn't match up perfectly, there was something wrong?